Alright, let's continue. Alright, let's... No, I don't want to overwrite it. No. Okay. I keep forgetting that, like, it's just for saving, clicking on it. 9th January, SS Buria, Miss Pavlova's cabin. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Suzato-san took a deep breath and gently slid back the bolt. You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is in chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah! You wicked intruder, dressed all in black, you are the devil. Sorry? Me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case, how could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector! Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. It is not enough that he has killed a man. Da! And he's a stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Ugh. Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away. Trespassing. Killing. She is right. You are a devil. It doesn't look good, does it? There is a cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we must give you straight to the police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hasunaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes! Naturally. I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Well, why were you hanging from the hook before then? Isn't it obvious to properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles naturally? I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall so full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. Ah, you again, the great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is it to report? Speak! An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night, here on this vessel, the steamship Burya, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Am I gonna do a deduction thing with him again? Ah! You have solved it. Even hedgehogs understand this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing Student Boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is the stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim, because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories. Ah! Locked room. That is point. I'm trying here. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolts could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why? It gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. The ventilator? It's so obvious. How did these people not realize this earlier? You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. I'm not gonna lie, this guy has nice moves, actually. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! Ah! What the? Is that Snake? Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The Speckled Band. A snake? Indubitably. So her snake is the one who killed him? Don't tell me he died from a fucking snake. Are you serious? He died from a snake? Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy. Wouldn't you say? Oh, okay, that was me. I made the same mistake he did. That kind of like flew over my head. Yes, you're right. I think in this case, you'd have to call it the Striped Band, wouldn't you? Yeah, dude, I feel you, buddy. I made the same mistake. I didn't pay attention either. You both see and observe with distinction, however. Do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one. Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, the same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young man's friend killed Mr. Asogi. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Sleeman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Are we doing this again? The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Intruders. Identity. Conclusion. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet, you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, I suspected another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the withering serpent. Writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in quandary. Try to read all. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary, even though hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's slowed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin, no? I don't know what you are talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side of it as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of a snake whose markings change each time it slews its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. A beloved speckled snake. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to confirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be... Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now, your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you choose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your servant friend? To train... Indeed, you'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. You deny the snake has undergone such training. It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. Jeez. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is unfallible. Death by a venomous snake bite. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible. You solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable, as the Russians say. I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles don't drink milk. Ah, it's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see? So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example, the logic holds. I'm assuming it's a rat because I saw a rat trap out in the hallway before. Or a mouse trap, whichever one. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There's one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So... Ew, a spider! Ew, go away. You're huge. So I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Yeah, you can sit there. Stay there, buddy. Don't move. Oh, there's another one there. Oh my god, why is there so many spiders in my room? Then it should try harder. Yo, are they gonna kill each other? Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake has gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it wouldn't have come back without help. Okay, I'm just like keeping an eye on the spider. I don't want it coming near me. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down onto your wrists again. What? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Topic 1, Intruder's Identity. Conclusion, a beloved speckled snake. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have pain expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. What else is causing her pain? Claw scratch. Oh, she has a claw scratch. Is there anything else? He still has a snake on his head. This is a really good... They really captured this room really well with people standing in it. Well, except for the guy in back, but... Claw scratch. Oh, Naruhodo-sa. Look, that looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of animal, small animal, and fairly recently too. Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here. Okay, I'm assuming it's that because... Is there anything else? Okay, I'm just gonna do that. Alright. Claw scratch. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on the portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? As I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Photograph frame. It's a cat. I knew it. Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. It's a cute cat! Oh my god. Maybe we'd better take a closer look at this. This must be the stage costume she's wearing. That must be the stage costume she's wearing. It's quite stunning. I should like to have something like that. And she's wearing the 20,000 rubles on her head as well. Look. It's called a tiara, Naruhodo-san. And you shouldn't think of it purely in terms of its value. She must be a strong-willed woman to turn her back on the world stage and run away all on her own. Look at that. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova is cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. It could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruhodo-san? Could V or Vi? I have no idea. V. With you, couldn't it, Naruhodo-san? For the blackest outfit. A black kitten. And from the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. Little kitten. Why did I feel like it was a cat? Without a doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. I'm just like looking around. Okay. Whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description. And anyway, what explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No. Don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to the quandary even now hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's slewed skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would ever have known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Shom's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that the skin of a snake, in which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Well, isn't it speckled? And it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Ha ha ha! That sounds positively adorable. Cat's toy. Hi! Yes, the thing you are trying but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely, in the true nature of the now infamous speckled bag. Ah. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there could be only one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah! In summary, the nature of this friend and Miss Pavlova, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime. Is a blithesome Russian blue breed of a cat by the name of Darka. I didn't even know what that word was. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. The photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darka has been entered into the court record. Pavlova and Darka photograph. A photograph of Miss Pavlova and her friend, a kitten named Darka. The tiara she would wear on stage can only be seen. It was after I gave her her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. Okay, but whose snake is that? That's what I'm curious about. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been appraised. Appraised? It would appear there were no visible signs of injury. Ah. You know, this game is actually making me learn new words, which is kind of okay. I didn't even finish that! What are you doing? In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. What Mr. Shom says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. But Mr. Shom seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma, I was about to say Kazuma-sama. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Okay, but where is that? Oh. Do. Okay, it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Post-mortem report. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Yo, that spider is really triggering, man. It's just sitting there, coming down on its, like, webbing. Like, go away. Just go through the crack of my door, please. Oh no, it's coming back in my room. No, go the other way. Other way. Yes, leave my room. Thank you. Bye, spider. Alright. Let's go. Oh no, it came back in. Oh, you antagonizing thing. Alright. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed. The breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out anyway. Alright, his face is being blocked. Oh, that's so small! Okay, maybe I'll put it in the middle. Alright. The jury is out anyway. We have a good authority that the victim's neck was broken. I know it's a weird place, but I don't like characters getting their face blocked while I'm recording, so... Oh, he's right over there again. Now, if we take this as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be... Yo, dude, he's just staring at me, bro. Please go away. Yes. Wait, I missed things again. Oh no, could there be... Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove that the cause of death conclusively. Okay, I'll put my photo back. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found though. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh, please no, where are you? Oh, I know where he is. Okay. Completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. I'm just gonna enlarge my photo again. I mean, my photo's already blocking the text, but I'm reading it, so it's okay. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? An examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Diary that was keeping his... Let me just read that. Okay, no, that's... Male far Eastern time of death, sometime between 1 a.m. and a little past 2 a.m. Cause of death. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. The victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of how strong loaded they are. No obvious external injuries. Let me look at that again. Oh, that was wrong? That's deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was waiting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, I got it wrong. Oh, sorry, I'll try again. Either way, he was struck by something, or he fell badly and it happened by accident. Oh, wait a second. I think I know what it is. Alright, let me look through the evidence again for the search bar. Okay. It's the... I did feel like it was the broken bell and this. Yeah, that's it. Mark on the floor. Yes, an examination of mark on the floor will be blah blah blah. Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Strike my picture again. I'm going to do that often. Undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asugi's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asugi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please, no. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asugi lost his life? Yes. The facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now, your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you choose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But... And if this part of Mr. Shom's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Maybe her bag? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Ah, somebody appears to have dropped 20,000 rubles here. And it hasn't been dropped, Naruhodo-san, it's been placed. I'm starting to sound like Mr. Shom. Stop trying to sound like the great detective. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Ah. Here we are. We have a fragment of the intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asugi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the source of the victim's death, should be found in the waste papers basket in your cabin? Kaya! I don't know. You're well acquainted with the glass bell, are you not? I don't know. And that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be... If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly unauspicious fall. Whatever, however you pronounce that, I have no idea. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. Deduction complete. Elementary. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again. By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... But I had to. I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Beria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asuki was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right, where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it, and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? Oh, I didn't say? Snake is my friend. I can't even read that, but I'm gonna try, okay? I'm not trying to offend any Russians here. His name is Piroshko? Piroshko? I think... I don't know. What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Aha, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend? Without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But, my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Piroshko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. Venomless? Yes, now he is hungry, so he is in a bad mood, but once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ah, like they say they milk check-ins. Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Hiroshiko eats mouses, big fat round mouses. Ah, oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. It refuses to drink milk. It can hear a whistle. It can climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Piroshko is nothing to do with the incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Something doesn't add up here. I feel like this is just... It doesn't seem right. Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. I just enlarged it a bit. I'll adjust it as I go. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ah, not again. When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were... Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. And how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident, or was there in fact no accident at all? This is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident at all. I'm assuming it's this one. The truth is, clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The words written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor, and the reason why, clearly explained here, he died instantly. Which, yeah. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in an instant death. Instant death. Ah! Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything, because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that could possibly have been there, if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So, Suzato-san has noticed it too then. Putting the message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves that was no accident, in other words. Wait a second, what? Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident, in other words. A report. I don't know what it is though. What could it be? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna be back. I have to go to the washroom. So I'll be back. I am back. Alright. Oh yeah, the shoe polish. I forgot about that. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around his neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw, a fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in the waste paper basket? Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh, no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That's when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin. There was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi. You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Ah, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Buckhead was bolted shut from the inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only other person in the cabin when young student died was you. It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that mass message. Not would have. There's no way you could have. That message to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Ha 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 ha! Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor. An attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lump suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspected me, don't you? You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman Stroganoff. Nina is a woman of sea. She is a daughter of a strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse Ship Angel of being criminal. So that's it? You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth? Pray, how can you be so sure? You are a great detective, you should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin, not Nina, not anyone. And you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible. See, now that's a word I know. I hear Russians say that word all the time. Ugh, he's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are white, watertight doors as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Suzato-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside. One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sho means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed, we have, so would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling sides of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it was known as a force of inertia. Okay, I hope I said that right. Acting on the objects. Is there nothing Suzato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in the cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah! It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hasunaga. Oh yes! That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across the lock and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed? The SS Burya made another emergency stop. When I woke up this morning and I looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if somebody had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. Okay. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asugi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Burya made an emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh. It is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh, yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights, when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you. When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed, it did a little earlier today. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with this ship? I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin door slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi. Did this ship make an emergency stop or did it not? You are idiots. Burya is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop even in the middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? Okay, I'm gonna move it to the side for a second. Seaman Stroganoff. Oh, please just go up. There we go. Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right? Ah, that is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log. That is... because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report. Wouldn't you? Indeed. So, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Burya. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish. If I am perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of the night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Ah. Oh, yes. I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right, my head's been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then, the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. There was something clearly in that chicken. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe. I had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? He was the only one that didn't eat the chicken. Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes, sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact. I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night has been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific design to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug. Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes. Well, Seaman. I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew and the captain himself would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes. So when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet. Mother Russia, we wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not make all drug, how do you say, dissolve. Ugh. Talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by comrade on shore with small fishing boat, while all the passengers of the SS Burya slept soundly. Thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew people who disliked chicken and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins. After which, they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would have habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to excriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told a busy night. But I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor. And sailors don't listen to long, boring stories we don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Do you hear it? The accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? Accusatory. Okay, yeah. What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry? You've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two prevaricators. Oh my god. Observation. If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely, you are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So, we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. What suggests that somebody else was there at the scene? Wait, there's something on his back. Whoa, did he really kill him? Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yes, you're right. It looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the color, too. It's clear where this came from. Ink stain. Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain? What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what's made it is clear. Indeed it is. So Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is. Wait, is there two parts to this? Oh, it's one. Okay. Yes, it is. It's this photograph and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink? A rather unusual color of ink, purple. I swear he killed him. That sucks, bro. The penny drops at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink has been dry, could it possibly have stained your uniform in that way? Which means you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilled. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I press button to make Buria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. It was on duty patrolling passageway. Then her angel came to me. She was white like sheet. Biff, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. I looked inside, I saw a student boy on the floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one. My little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kid escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor. Yes, that is right. So after the incident, when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel. The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing. If you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. We need to open the door of a student's cabin and look. I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova. What did she say? I can't read that. Oh. Yes. That is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So, is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? It doesn't seem right. Something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on this matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... If Kazuma tripped and fell by some terrible stroke of bad luck, broke his neck, which part of this photographic seems unnatural? Okay, I'm gonna move. I don't know, actually. Here? This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Kazuma, so if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true, it is certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would be most unnatural. I'm sure you'll reach the same conclusion. However, how thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you, gentle guided. Oh, okay. Why didn't that give me a mistake? Which part of this photograph prints unnatural? Okay, it took me a while to figure this out, but I'm just gonna move my picture back where it was. Come on, man. There we go. His left hand. I didn't realize, like, I kept making mistakes, and I was like, okay. Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet, here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist, almost you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right, a crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It's nothing. I'm not so sure. The crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo, this is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizing close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe, find the answer with your own eyes. She has such a petite ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells. Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. Yes, that's an earring. Wait, look! It's a crescent moon. Ah! There can be no doubt now, surely. Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. Ah. What? And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there is one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night, in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel. No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth last night. What did you do to Kazuma? When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin, and I could relax after this horrible long day. Meow! Darka, wait. I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darka would not come back. Knock, knock. Plunk. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment. Sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I didn't know that. I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in a faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust it? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then... Meow! Darka jumped out of my arms and down the young man's feet. And... as he turned around to look at me... Ow! Yeah, that could cause a death. I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when he went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaves. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door. Yes. I went into cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right. That's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper signs. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Sudato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to a good place and used the ink that was spilling to write on the floor. I wrote... I can't read Russian, so I don't know what that says. It says wardrobe, so in English. So that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job by pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway. Yes. Accordingly, the SS Burya did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. Yo, I can't believe she killed him. Like, there's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the belt cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me. Who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? Oh, wait. Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? Okay. At first I didn't think that made sense. I need to double check. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama. Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all the matter of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? wardrobe. Considering everything that happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord, the wardrobe. The wardrobe. And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe. The man's great friend. Sleeping soundly. Ah. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion. Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if between them they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that, but I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova, I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth, but unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really. I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Beria was finally laid to rest. Wow. Wow. 9th January, 7:14 p.m. SS Beria, first class cabin, passageway. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? If that's how I read it. Apparently the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman's showing up. I wanted to help her Angel no matter what, but I didn't think about you. About how you lost a good friend. This is sad. A little bit. Kinda shitty way to die, don't you think? I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... Well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Yeah. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow, and as much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. They think that only days ago, Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Suzato-san. Naruhodo-san. I didn't know you had returned. Well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hasunaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over just like that. Suzato-san. I'm trying not to tear up on camera. This is kind of like really emotional. It's kind of sad actually. He had such a grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain, so many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Sogisa safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've left everyone down, and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again, now, at least. Huh? Ha 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 ha! Surprised, Mr. Naruhodo? What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them. For old time's sake, shall we say you're a stowaway after all? Ha 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 ha! Okay, that kind of lightened the mood a bit. He thinks this is funny. Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all. Not at all. I know it's a little late. May I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heart-rending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report of everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but... Poor Suzato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else. With the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes, we know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Susato. Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah, but you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo, that's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit, too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Susato? I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? I'm not used to these words. I know what these words are, but I don't really use them from a day-to-day basis, you know? So it's like even reading them would be like, what, you know? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all harbor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes, from the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector, after all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be wow. I like jumped over my words for a second. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Miss Susato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But, before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you two. Goodness, what is it? Please, throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from the inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you, and not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take a hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling? Oh, well, in a way. It's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently it's called the Susato takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I've got no fucking idea. I am a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Yeah. Are you serious? Just throw him over. As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato squash. Oh my goodness, these people. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karuma. That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On the subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. Find a way to talk to his spirit. This really feels like the trilogy, though. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. The lawyer and the partner dies, and then the lawyer takes over. I have a feeling that's gonna happen somehow. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. And we all know what Great Britain stands for back in the old days. Save your great progress. Yes. Alright, and this is where I shall stop.
Purchase your track.